Hi, everyone. This is Ron Couming from RCS Online Solutions, and I want to tell you you're coming live on our live stream, and this is the Success Secrets Revealed. We created this show as a way to bring on business owners and entrepreneurs from many different fields that are going to talk to you about how they achieved even greater success. And again, I bring them on from many different fields. So whatever their business is may not be what your business is, but what they went through and how they overcame it to achieve their success is something that you and I and everyone can learn from. So that's the purpose for Success Secrets Revealed. Everybody who's come on this show has been vetted by me. They actually have had success, and it's not book smarts. It's actually they've gone out there and they've done it. They may have had book smarts, but they've also gone out there and achieved the success in actually doing what they've said they do. And that's the difference between seeking counsel and seeking advice. And so we're going to talk about that going forward. I'm going to introduce our guest today is Cami Baker, and she's magnificent. But first, I want to introduce our sponsor. Our sponsor is RCS Online Solutions, where we help business owners and entrepreneurs, much like you, attract, convert, and retain your ideal customers and clients using various internet marketing techniques and methods. Let's be totally honest. You can have the best service, the best product, the best copy, the best website. You can have the best everything. But if people can't find you, they can't consider you, nor can they hire you. And that's it. That's for the sponsor. Now we're going in. Today's guest is Cami Baker from CamiBaker.com. I've known Cami Baker probably, 5, 6 years or so. And from the day I met her, I knew I was actually talking to somebody else and I could hear her conversation behind me, but I knew that she was an elevated person, so to speak. And that is because of her language and what she does, not what she just talks about. Cami Baker helps people now with their business development and lead generations in many different formats. Okay, so I want to bring Cami Baker on. If you're thinking about being in business or starting a business, growing a business, or what to do once you have a ton of money and you're looking for tax write-offs, there's a whole landscape here for you to consider from start to finish. So we're going to bring on Cami Baker from CamiBaker.com. Cami, how are you?
I am fabulous, fierce, and on fire, Ron. How are you?
Excellent. I love how you talk in threes. Fabulous, fierce, and on fire. Income, impact, and influence. Real, raw, and relatable. I've memorized quite a few and used them, but I've given you, as my friend Cami would say. So, I'm doing great, Cami, and I'm grateful that you're going to share some of your experiences and successes with us today on this show.
Well, we know something else that you've memorized too, which is the page that you were mentioned in the book.
I'm thinking it might be 102.
Something like that. You usually rattle it off.
Yes, and that's the best page, everyone. When you see her book, go to page 102. Cami, I gave a very brief outline. Your history is so vast and so valuable to people who are trying to just get ahead, because a lot of times we see people who are very successful. And we see them in their nice clothes and we see them at the events and everything is perfect. We don't know. I mean, their lives could be in shambles, but we actually, when we see them, the picture is painted. But what I like about you is that you've always been real, raw, and relatable. You've always shared that you came from here and you struggled and got up and got kicked back and got up and got kicked back. So can you tell us a little bit more about who you are and how you became who you are and what you do now?
Well, as they say, it's not how many times you get knocked down, it's how many times you get back up. And you and I have known each other for several years, and you've seen a lot of those ups and downs. And sometimes, to your point, people can see someone and think, oh, that was easy. What a overnight success that person was. But I truly believe that one of my superpowers is just getting back up and just finding opportunity and strategizing and seeing where there's money in different situations, just like with the charitable gifting of real estate. I met some people a few months ago, and that's what they do and what they did. And we talked about partnering together, and for one reason or another, it didn't work out. But boy, did I see the opportunity and grab a hold of it. So I want our viewers and listeners to really think about, like, where is a need in the marketplace, and what can you as an entrepreneur do to not only serve that need, but get compensated for doing it?
I love it. And that brings up a great point. The bigger the problem you solve, the more money you're going to make. But at the end of the day, the money is just a byproduct of the service you and the help you provide people. Am I correct in that?
I've thought about that many times. I don't remember who it was, Zig Ziglar or somebody that said, it's a matter of becoming more valuable in the marketplace. And I think back to when I was a waitress. I've done all kinds of different jobs over the years. And when I was a waitress and I got, tipped $1 or $2 to bring a drink, well, that was what I was getting paid for the service I was providing. It was something that just about anybody could do. And it's a wonderful job for people who want to make a couple $100 a night. But, as I came into real estate and then into network marketing and now into strategizing with business owners, to get paid what you're worth in the marketplace means that we need to really learn new ways of becoming valuable so that we can get more than $2 for bringing a beer at the bar,
I love it. And I'm not sure who said it first, but I do remember Jim Rohn talking about that. He talks about, you get paid what you're worth. Now, you don't get paid what you want. If you're just taking cans and putting it on the shelf, your value, as a human being, your value is priceless. But your value to the marketplace is not the same as somebody who is a manager or a CEO who's overseeing, 19 stores and distributions and all this stuff. So there is a disparity in people's thought process in terms of, what they are owed by the marketplace. No, if you are passing French fries, that's great, right? But, it is not as valuable as somebody who's overseeing 6 different locations and handling all the supply stuff. So I love how you talk and you bring in these other people. Can you tell us a little bit about your personal history, some of the situations you've overcame, and where you're at now?
Well, one of the things that I always talk about from the stage, and you and I have this in common, I think I can share that, is the sobriety factor. And, I think that a lot of alcoholics are actually workaholics too, very creative. And I think sometimes we end up suppressing our creativity because our minds are just so fast and creating and strategizing so much that sometimes we do a little bit of this just to I just can't handle all of that. But I do share from the stage about my alcoholism and how when I picked my daughter up from daycare when she was about 1.5 years old, 5 o'clock in the afternoon, stumbling into the daycare and, picking her up and just smelling the alcohol from my own breath in her face and realizing that she didn't know what that smell was yet, but she would. And in that one moment of clarity, I could really see, wow, if it is to be, it is up to me. If this is going to change, I'm the one to change it. Only I can change the trajectory of my life. And so as I got sober and then just a few months later, answering an ad in the good old fashioned newspaper and getting hired into a real estate office. And, I don't know about we, but I look back over my life and I see things that have happened. And in the moment, I thought it was for my benefit right then. And it was getting hired into that real estate office as an employee at the time as a listing coordinator. But all these different things over my life that benefited me at the time were really just stepping stones to get me ready for the next thing and the next thing. I don't know about we, but
I love it. And I also I love that story where you talk about that. To me is when you talk about being real, raw, and relatable, that certainly fits that. But you also talk about a story with the red dress and how somebody helped you out and you really didn't have anything and you had that one red dress. And can you tell us that story, and then we'll move on, and then maybe even the Mustang story, because I want people to know that today, as you sit here as a very successful person, you have reinvented yourself several times. I mean, you were making 6 figures in real estate, quit, went out, did some stuff, came back, made six figures again, quit, went out, made some stuff, made six figures again. So you've done that 3 times, but you've also, you've had success in many different areas. So being that type of chameleon, being able to pivot, and like today, and this episode's going to live on, but today we're going through this whole COVID thing where the entire country and world is pretty much shut down. So we need to pivot. Entrepreneurs, business owners, and people, we need to pivot. I'm not quite sure if it was Einstein or if it was Arnold Schwarzenegger, and they're both very compatible, right? Comparable. So I'm not sure which one it said, but it talked about the evolution, to evolve. It's not so much the smartest, but it's the ones who are able to adapt. Right. So the people who are able to adapt to whatever it is, whether it's climate, change, going back, a million years when we didn't have air conditioning and, blankets. Right. So whoever is able to adapt. So can you talk to us about, some of those things, the red dress, the Corvette, and then we're going to move up into the present. I just want people to have some context, because the success you are today and others, oftentimes it took 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years to get there. And there was a lot of trials and tribulations. And I'm guessing there was very little TV, very little video games, you know what I mean? So these type of things that distract you, pacify you, and numb you, that's not going to get you where you want to be.
Ron and I have been friends for a long time, and I pray that we are for the rest of our lives. And I'm going to tease you relentlessly about comparing Schwarzenegger to Albert Einstein.
Aren't they the same? I just don't know which one it was. So I'm going to have to Google it so I don't have to compare them going forward.
So, when we talk about pivoting and really being the one that can shift or change or chameleon or be flexible, I'm going to talk about the red suit story and the Mustang. But, that's why right now, with the real estate industry being the way that it is, people are actually, real estate or not, people are answering the phone for the first time ever. Like, people have called me that I see their name on my phone and I answer it because I don't know if maybe they're sick. So I'm answering the phone. Other people are answering the phone. There's never been a better time to be able to connect and build relationship with people right now, including in real estate, including with people who are wanting to diversify, liquidate, add to their portfolio. And we'll talk about that in a minute. But, you were one of the people who really helped me to see that the red suit story was so powerful from the perspective of us talking about the be, do, have versus have, do, be mindset. And I actually did a talk recently that was how a red suit, a convertible Mustang, and a horse farm changed the trajectory of my life. And the red suit was, I was working at this RE/MAX office. I was an employee at the time, just stepping into becoming a real estate agent. And I walked in one day, and the woman who was one of my mentors there, she could see the drive, the desire, the hunger, the work ethic, et cetera, in me, but she could also see that one thing that I needed was a little bit different attire. So she says, "Hey, Cami, I brought this suit in. I outgrew it. Would you like to have it?" And I said, "Of course." I respected her. I knew I needed a suit. It was bright red top, red bottom. And I tried it on and it fit perfectly. And I was wearing that suit for many years, actually. If I knew then what I know now, I never would have given it away. But that red suit started changing my life. And I'll finish that story in a moment, because that's not the most important part of the story. But moving forward as a real estate agent, the very first big commission check that I got, I had always wanted a convertible Mustang, a 65 convertible Mustang. And I got it with my first big commission check. And the people in my office tortured me relentlessly. Ford, found on road dead. Don't you know what a money pit that is? Boy, they saw you coming. That was a dumb investment. And I said, "You don't understand. I have vision." People from 6 to 60 years old will see that car, will turn their head, will look at it, will talk to me. It will be part of my marketing. And sure enough, it was. And the first year that I had it, I had a car show, and just with grit and determination, completely ignorant, having no idea how to run a car show, I did one. And I got 50 cars to that show. And every one of those people who walked up or drove up to register were trying to give us $20 to register. But we weren't set up to take money. That wasn't why we were doing it. My friend who was helping me said, why aren't we taking their money? And I said, because I wasn't doing this to make a couple $100. I'm doing it to promote. And boy, I had CamiBaker.com all over that car. But it really got me thinking, Ron. I really thought about it afterwards. I thought $20 times 50, there's a lot of places that could use a few $100s. So I asked around and I found a horse farm that rescued horses. And so I started giving all that money to the horse farm. So the way it all ties together is this lady that gave me the suit helped me to go on hundreds of listing appointments, take enough listings to make the money to buy the car, have the car teach me that when I partnered with a nonprofit, that it changed the way that I showed up. And just to finish real quickly, the red suit story is that 6 months after giving me that suit, the woman pulls me to the side. She's seen that I've had several closings, a woman who lives in a mobile home, high school diploma, child that I'm taking care of by myself. Now I'm getting checks for $5,000 and $7,000. And she saw that I had bought more suits and I was more confident and starting to own myself. And she said, hey, you know that suit I gave you a few months ago? And I said, Joan, it's my favorite suit. Thank you. And she said, well, I got to tell you the truth about it. She said, I didn't outgrow it. I could see that you needed a suit. So I bought it for you. And I said, well, thank you. That was so nice of you to do that. She said, well, not only did I buy it, but bought it from the Salvation Army and I got it off the sales rack for $3. And we laughed and we cried and we hugged. At the time, I didn't know it. Ladies and gentlemen, there are so many things that happen in your life that are a blessed lesson and gift that you share with other people later. I realized later on that she was smart enough to see that one little tweak I needed, a suit. She was also smart enough not to tell me that it came from Salvation Army because I would have been humiliated and I wouldn't have taken it. And she was also smart enough to know when I was confident enough to share it with me. And because of that, it's a story in my book and one that I've shared from stages, including Dress for Success.
I love it. And that book you mentioned, I think people should focus on page 102, but that's for me, okay? Just saying. But no, but I love that story. And the whole be, do, have, do you have to, do you have to have, do, be, or are you be, do, have? It's an entire mindset. It's an entire shift. And that's why I really love that story. And I think the whole be, do, have is better than have, do, be, because it empowers you opposes to, well, when I have this, I'll be this and I'll do that, right? So,
well, just for the people who maybe that kind of went over their head because we're kind of talking fast and moving through this, the reason that story is the average person, including my first assistant, Monique, has the mindset, I need to have something, then I'll do something, and then I'll be happy or be successful or be thin or be healthy or be a good parent. So when I got Monique licensed, she said, well, Cami, I don't have the suits you have. I don't have the car you have. I don't have gas money to take people to showings. I don't have. So I can't do the things you do, and I'll never be successful like you. Yeah. So the first time I shared that suit story was with Monique. And I said, look, she invested $3 in a suit. And because of that, I stepped into being a successful real estate agent. And when I stepped into being that, I started doing what that agent would do so that I could have what that agent would have, which was the nicer car and the better home and the better clothes, etc. Yep. So to shift from, I got to have something before I can do and be, no, be what you say you want to be, own it, do it now, be it, and you'll do what that person would do and have what they would have.
I love it. And people really need to, if you can flip that, and I know we had many conversations about how valuable that is. So I'm so glad you talked about that. But there's another example, just like you were talking about, Russell Brunson, who does One Funnel Away. He's the owner of ClickFunnels, but he gives an example in the very beginning of his pre-training, and he talks about when he was wrestling and he was losing to this person, And his coach pulled him aside in between rounds, and he basically told him, he says, "What are you doing?" And Russell said, "Hey, that guy is really, really good." And he says, "What are you talking about? Matt beat him last round." Russell thought, well, geez, I beat Matt every time, hands down. I mean, he's not even competition. I just use him for exercise, right? So when he had that mindset and he believed that he could do it, he went out and beat that guy the very next round, and he won the round. So it's so important, sometimes, that mind shift. So that person who really gave you that was such a gift. That's kind of, so that brings us up to, like, it's just, it's massive, these type of things. But can you tell us a little bit, like, about what you're doing now, and how business owners and entrepreneurs, if possible, maybe 3 things business owners and entrepreneurs can do to achieve even greater success, and then once they achieve that success, how they can start to protect their wealth and some other things?
Well, so the first thing that we've been talking to the whole time is your mindset. So one of the things that I'm always asked when I've been interviewed a couple hundred times, they always ask, well, what's that one thing you would share with people? And I get it from my 12-step program, which is change your playgrounds and playmates, meaning who are you listening to? Who are you talking to? Who are you getting your advice from? What are you reading? So the first thing is to work on that mindset for sure, because let's face it, right now, there are people that are scared to death. And there are people who are just, going along and finding opportunity everywhere. So it truly is all about our mindset. But the second thing, if you're asking for 3, is see the opportunity. Like I call it, our reticular activator. The reticular activator is something that once, like, we are taking in millions of things right now, from colors and sounds and things going on in the background. And like, your brain is processing millions of things. The reticular activator is when we get focused on something and all of a sudden it's in our awareness. So for example, you buy a blue Honda, all of a sudden you see blue Hondas everywhere. It's not that they all of a sudden appeared, it's that now they're in your awareness. When a woman's pregnant, all of a sudden there's baby clothes and babies everywhere and baby strollers and baby stores. It wasn't that everybody started having babies. It's that now you're aware of it. So, and thank God I don't see babies anywhere anymore. But what I do see is opportunity. I see strategy around how can we leverage? How can we use this to our advantage, not to take advantage, but to have the advantage in the marketplace. So for example, if people are answering the phone more than ever, if we can't get out of our house and go do what we normally do, then how can we build our business? Research, reach out, relationship build with people that can help us with the resources and relationships that lead to the revenue. And in the real estate profession right now that I'm really honing in and focusing in on, it is about calling those non-owner occupied properties and about the charitable gifting of real estate to nonprofits, which I could go off on a tangent about 100 different reasons why that will build your business, much less give money to the veterans and the kids and the animals, which obviously is a huge thing. But how can you leverage that to actually meet hundreds or thousands of your ideal clients, whether you're in real estate or not? Like, there's a lot of ways around that. So the second thing would be really attune your reticular activator to be activated towards what is an opportunity in this marketplace. And the third thing, my friends, take action. Take action. That is my superpower, taking action. I may take the wrong action 99% of the time, but at least I'm moving. At least I'm doing something. At least I am taking responsibility for my life and the direction of my life. So most people are stuck in analysis paralysis, and they got to get it right. And they got to get it all worked out. They got to have their coaching program and the PDF and the PowerPoint and all this kind of stuff. But I'm actually right now creating the certification for real estate professionals to become certified in the charitable gifting of real estate to nonprofits. Who am I to give a certification? Who is anybody to certify anyone? It's the person who says with the words that they speak, I'm the expert. I have a certification program. And if you want to learn how to do this, I'll teach you. That's who I am to do it. And that's who you are to do whatever it is that you do.
I love it. And it's so important that that whole mindset and changing your mindset from, like, even in this situation, it's like, I have to stay home. I get to stay home. I have to do this. I get to do this. I was talking with Bob Donnell, was on our guest yesterday, and he was talking about reframing the negative. He was talking about giving an example of the gym. It can be anything, but giving the example of a gym, you're lying in bed and you're thinking, well, it's raining out. I have to get up. I have to get dressed. I have to go out in the rain. I have to get in the car. I have to get to the gym, get there, come back, take a shower, blah, 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 blah. And that type of I have to kind of like places those activities in a negative mindset. If you change that negative mindset and you put it back to, if I stay in bed, I'm not going to achieve my health goals. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to have, when I exercise, I get to, I feel alive. I get to do these different things. My mind's sharp. When you change that mindset and you reframe the negative to the action, to the non-action, it just changes everything. So I love how you talk about that with the be, do, have, and the examples you just gave. Now let's pretend, and thank you so much for those tips. I know they're valuable because I've listened to them, and I've also been in the marketplace, and I know that they actually work if they're implemented. Can you possibly, once somebody has achieved some success, you've talked about, now they own a business. What can they do with their business to possibly, you do cause-based marketing, and you also help people after they've made money, that they can donate real estate, opposed to other assets, and how that can help them to save some of what they earned. I mean, you got to pay your taxes, you got to be part of the system, that's fine, but you also have to protect yourself, your family, and all that. Can you give us some tips on maybe what people can do there?
Well, one of my new mentors, Jen Duplessis, talks about the process of learn, earn, return. So what you're talking about is, okay, you learned and then you earned. How are you going to return? That's part of what you're talking about. And when it comes to the charitable gifting of real estate to nonprofits, it's not about doing that when you have so much wealth that you want to give back. It's a brilliant tax strategy now, and it's a way for so many other people to build their business and make enough money because they are teaching people how to do it, and they're helping to facilitate these transactions, et cetera. But the whole return aspect is, for me, the way that when I step into the success, the way that I return or give back or am a part of the whole life cycle is to, now that I've learned it, to share it and to pass it on. One of our mentors has said before that the process is do it. How does it go? Do it, show somebody, do it with them, then they go do it themselves. So that's what I think of when you say that, is how can I pay it forward? How can I teach the next person all these different strategies, tips, skills, secrets, etc., so that they too can pay it forward? Even the movie Pay It Forward, I was in network marketing at one point, and you tell two people and they tell two people and they tell two people. This little boy that was 9 years old in the movie drew out the whole pyramid thing of you tell two and they tell two and they tell two. And that's kind of how it works with knowledge and with giving back and with donating and with helping. I save one animal, you save two, they save four, etc. So I think it's all about giving back and paying it forward.
Yep, I love that. And I was just looking, as you were talking, I was looking up Pay It Forward. I'm not quite sure who it is. It might have been Greg Reed or someone that we both know from the events we go to was an actual advisor in that movie. So that movie, it does have a lot of, a lot of great points in it. You also talked about Jen, and this is a shameless plug. She's a client of mine. So she was a client of mine probably like 3 years ago, and, still is. Whenever she needs anything, just call me, But, and she's a rock star. So the fact that you've connected with her and you're doing what you're doing is just, is excellent. So what are some of the things that people can do now? I mean, can you give us some suggestions? I kind of want people to listen and learn from you. You have a free course, if I'm correct.
So at camibaker.com free,
It's right down below.
There's some videos and different things about the whole relationship building aspect. So, if I were to give tips right now, I would say, once again, there's never been a better time than now to get reconnected with the people that you know, to build relationships. So, you mentioned that Jen was a client of yours. Well, I go out to the New Media Summit, Steve Olsher, plug, and one of the icons there said, "Hey, you need to meet Jen." And then a month later, another friend says, "Hey, you need to meet Jen." And now that Jen and I have spent 2 hours on a Zoom, and she's interviewed me on both of her podcasts, and now she's introduced me to Kirsten O'Shields, and then another lady, Andrea Swinson. And I mention all of them because we've just created the First Ladies of Real Estate. And the First Ladies of Real Estate, all of us do something totally different in how we coach, mentor, train, etc. So here we are in a time where you can't get out and shake hands and hug anybody, but we all live in different parts of the country anyway. We would have been building our relationship through Zoom anyway. So we're taking advantage of the fact that we've got a little bit of extra time and that other appointments are canceled. And why not take this time to really create these collaborations and connections that will blossom and bloom forever, not just during this time, but for years to come.
I love that. And one of the things that I've learned, and I kind of find myself when I'm doing the interviews, I kind of feel a little stuffy, right? Because my normal personality is to like to laugh and joke. But when you talk about, we have the opportunity to get on Zoom and talk to people, that reminds me, it is, forget about ROI. I mean, if you're a business and you're strictly looking at numbers, I spent $10, I can go into that with you, and I will very briefly, but I'm going to tell you it's ROR that you want to focus on. ROI, now let's say that you spend $10 on a Facebook ad and you get some people who log in, right? But now you have their information going forward. So on the front end, maybe you spent $5,000 to get 500 people to come into your sphere, so to speak, right? And that's $10 per person, right? So, but then now, some people will see that as a loss. Maybe they bought $3,000 worth of product. So they look at that as a $2,000 loss. But in reality, you now have all those people. So on the upfront, you lost $2,000, but now you have 500 people that you can now market to going forward, and you know exactly what their ideology is and what their interest is. So, it's never just about the first level. Once you have them in your sphere, then it's your opportunity to work on the relationship, giving people value first, whatever that takes. If you don't focus so much on the immediate. You talked great about being the shark. One of your things was about being the shark, going into a networking event, getting that contract. That's the wrong way. Build that relationship, because not only will you make money off that client because you served them and made them happy, but going forward, they're going to refer you. You know what I mean? So can you tell us more about return on relationships opposed to return on ROI?
Well, I'm glad you bring that up, because I'm always wanting to give pragmatic, actionable, do something. I get so tired of people talking about concepts and you really need to give back. Well, no crap. We know that. How do you, right? So one of the ways to actually start building those relationships is to be the one that instigates them. Or if the person says, hey, you should talk to so-and-so, to be the one that reaches out to them. I'm going to be interviewed later on this week with someone who said, we don't care if you teach people how to make a bed or how to pump gas or how to bake a pie. Let's do something. What is that one thing you want to teach people that anyone can benefit from? And here's what it is asking questions, learning to ask questions. And this will help to build these relationships. So often people will meet at an event and then they'll get the text or the email. Hey, Mary, so nice to meet you at the chamber this week. Sure do look forward to doing some business. Hey, it was nice to meet you at the event. I hope you enjoyed this weekend. Hey, we had a great conversation. I look forward to seeing you at the next event. When we make a statement, it stops the communication. There's no need for that person to respond. You've totally brought it to an end. But when you can ask a question, hey, it was nice to meet you at the event. I would love to finish that conversation. Are you a phone or a Zoom kind of person? Do you want to talk in the morning or is the afternoon better? In other words, asking people that first initial question that's not yes or no. It's not when do you want to get on the phone or do you want to get on the phone? It's when's better, morning, afternoon, during the week or on the weekend. So my point is the way to even start the relationship so that you can have a return on it is to be able to create communication. When that person told me at New Media Summit that I should talk to Jen, I immediately sent her a video. I didn't just send a text. I didn't find her and friend her on Facebook and hope something would happen. I got out my phone and I did a Facebook private message video. And I said, hey, Jen, so-and-so said we need to meet. You look like a rock star. Let's talk. And then when she didn't respond to it right away, but our second friend said it, now I went back in and I sent her another message. I said, oh my God, within 30 days, we've been introduced again. So when do you want to get on the phone? Do you want to do a Zoom? Are you available this week or next week? In other words, instigate, move forward, take action, take action, take action. And don't be afraid to ask for the sale. In other words, in this scenario, asking for the sale means setting up the appointment so that you can start the relationship so that there is a return on it. And the return on the relationship could be money. It could be resources. It could be friends. Jen and I have spent in the last 10 days at least 8 or 9 hours together on Zoom for different things. And I haven't spent that much time with anyone I know for any length of time in years. So, it wouldn't have happened if we hadn't have made it happen, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. And, I'm sitting here and I have to make you full screen because I sit here and I go like this and I just listen. I've listened to you many times, but every single time I listen to you, I learn something. And I think it goes back to you can hear things multiple times, but every single time you hear it, you're going to take something more from it because your development are at a different level. You know what I mean? And we're all trying to, I don't want to get woo-woo, but we're all trying to vibrate at a different level, right? So the more we learn, the more we earn, the more we serve. And, we can get philosophical all day, but, a lot of our listeners may not be there yet. So what I'd like to talk to you about now, if you have time, I want to be respectful of your time. What can people do to just connect more with people? You talk about words, video, voice, video, these type things. And it all goes back to, the level of connection. And once they achieve that connection, what can they do with it? And, and then going forward.
Well, I love that you're actually giving me the opportunity to repeat a little bit of what I've said, because to your point, you can hear something, but not hear it. And something, it's just like when you watch a movie and then you watch it again 6 months later and you're like, wait a minute, he was her brother. I didn't get that before. So, I think that it's really important to really hone in on even just the beginning, starting of the relationship, because what you're talking about is, okay, now you've connected with someone. How do you keep that connection or make that connection deeper or move it forward? Having been to literally thousands of networking events myself, I've been to 5 and 6 networking events in a day, not in a week, in a day when I lived in New York City. And having met tens of thousands of people, and that's why I wrote the book, because so many people have a hard time even just instigating the conversation. Even if you're really successful, you can make hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars and still not be comfortable introducing yourself or asking questions. And I know this because everyone that I coach and mentor, no matter if it's a brand new real estate agent or someone who manages 18 offices or someone who's been in the business for 40 years, there's always those little tweaks around being able to start the conversation and ask the questions. So what I would say about, how to connect and make it deeper and move it forward is, you love my alliterations. So set intention, pay attention to create the retention of the resources, relationships, and revenue. So I'll back up and say that again. When we set intention, so many people just, if we're going to a networking event, for example, they go in and they grab this huge stack of business cards, and you, Ron, are less than 0.5% of people that actually follow up, follow through, make an initial contact. Of all the tens of thousands of cards that I've exchanged, you are in the 0.5% of people that reached out to me first or were responsive within the first 24 hours. People just aren't. So I know that our viewers and listeners, they don't need to learn how to move the relationship forward as much as they need to learn how to start it to begin with. And then everybody that's in their 30s, 40s, 50s, we all do know hundreds or thousands of people. So if it is someone or people that you've known for years or even months, but you haven't talked to them in a while, to pick up that phone is so much, or get on the Zoom is way better than hiding behind an email. Typing is better than not doing anything. Voice is better than typing, and nothing beats this. Hence why I do a lot of video on Facebook Private Messenger. I have a video system called BombBomb where I send videos through email. And even the most consummate professional networker is impressed with those videos, including Robbie Samuels, whom I sent an introduction between him and Kirsten this week, and he had never seen an email video introduction. So I know even the most professional people, there's little places where they're like, oh, that's a new twist. That's a new way to connect.
I love it. You got to listen and learn because technology is always changing, and the ability to connect or to grow is, it just continues. Cami, I want to be respectful of your time. We've been here 40-something minutes. Is there anything that we haven't covered that you want to cover?
If you don't mind, I would like to touch on what your other guest was talking about the difference between have to do something and get to do something. When you mentioned that, it brought me right back a couple of years ago when I left an abusive relationship that wasn't physically abusive, but it was emotionally abusive in that I wasn't allowed to go anywhere or do anything. I couldn't go to a coffee shop for a couple hours and just have coffee, watch videos, make a couple of phone calls. I could not go anywhere. I was not alone for 10 minutes, much less to go take appointments. And I came back to the Boston area, and I had gone to a networking event one day, and I had my sunroof open. It was a beautiful spring day, wind blowing, music on, and I pull into that networking event, and I was almost chokes me up right now thinking about, I was so overwhelmed with the feeling of, wow, I get to go networking. For many years, I said, oh, I have to go to that event. I have to go meet that person. People that are listening will say, I have to pick my kids up from school. I have to make dinner for my family. I have to get flowers for my wife or she'll be angry. Listen, you get to do that stuff. You get to pick your kids up. There are people that can't have children. You get to make dinner for your husband. There are people that wish they had a husband to make a dinner for. So when we really take a look at, I have to do this versus I get to do it, I finally was able to get to ride in my car and listen to my music and go talk to anyone I wanted to without creating drama or chaos. So that's what I would leave you with. Every time you see yourself or feel yourself or hear yourself saying, oh, I have to do that report. I have to go do some billing. I have to, clean my house. Be happy you have a house, because a lot of people don't.
I love that. And Cami, at the end of the day, a lot of this is mindset type stuff, right? So, society forever, has told us, go to school for X amount of years, 18 or 24 years, get a job, 2.3 kids, buy a house, be 30 years in debt, blah, blah, blah. Uh, what do you think about the established norm?
Well, as our viewers can hear, you and I could go on for hours, and I'm sure when we're done, we're probably going to jump off and talk for another hour. But we used to say that in network marketing. Why are all these people, go to school, get a good job, get a gold watch, the government will take care of you. It's just not the case anymore, and the norm is not the norm. And taking responsibility. I'll leave our viewers with this. About a year ago, I was with my mother in South Georgia, and my brother passed away a few years ago from an overdose. And we were talking about my brother and just things that had happened. I said, Mom, the reason why I'm alive and he's dead is because he was constantly blaming you and the world and his boss and his being gay or his being adopted. He was constantly pointing fingers and blaming everyone else. The only reason why I'm sober and he's not is because I took responsibility. I said, I'm the one popping the pills. I'm the one drinking the booze. I'm the one doing this, that, and the other thing. And when you can take responsibility for who you are and what's going on in your life, the beautiful thing about it is you can recognize that, wow, if I take responsibility and I own that I created that bad stuff, guess what? That means I get to create whatever I want. So taking responsibility is the most actionable thing that anyone can do to shift and change and enhance their life.
You speaking my language, which is why you and I are friends. And I have multiple friends, but you and I are friends on like 5 different levels, where other friends are friends on 1 or 2 levels. Taking responsibility for who you are or what you do and what has happened to you is paramount. I mean, if you look at all the excuses, you look at Oprah Winfrey. I mean, her mother was raped, and that's how Oprah Winfrey became conceived, right? And then Oprah Winfrey was a victim of incest and all. You talk about these things, then you talk about Ben Carson, who had every disadvantage, and you go on to these multiple. Picasso, his mother had syphilis. You know what I mean? He should have been aborted if you listen to the statistics at the time. So, I mean, when you listen to all this negativity, right?
Well, when you say that sometimes you need to hear something multiple times for it to make a difference, what you just mentioned was things that happened to you. And I was actually just watching some stuff about Oprah yesterday randomly. I don't know why. I spent an hour listening to her stuff while I was getting ready. And someone in there said, might have been her, said something about things that happen don't happen to you, they happen for you. And I've heard that before, and maybe your listeners are listening and it just goes in one ear and out the other. But a few months ago, when I learned about the charitable gifting of real estate and I wanted to partner with those people and it didn't happen, at the time I thought, why does this keep happening to me? What am I doing that's making this happen to me? And I realized when I heard this yesterday, once again, it didn't happen to me. It happened for me, so that I am knowledgeable and now can create whatever I want without being burdened down with somebody else's opinion or direction.
I love it. Cami, is there, excuse me, is there any, and I promise you that's no COVID. Is there, I promise.
That's why you're over there.
How could it be? I mean, we've all been locked down, right? So, how, is there anything in closing you'd like to tell people?
Well, we've closed a couple of times and we could go on, but I just encourage you to reach out. I am real, raw, relatable, and reachable. I even give my phone number, the actual phone that I've got, 603-785-2598. It blows my mind that people are in business and they don't put their phone number out there. If a creepy person calls me, I'll just block them. Big deal. But be communicative. Reach out. When someone inspires you, call them. Hey, I'd love to take you to dinner. I'll pay for it. I want to pay for dinner and take you to dinner. So don't be afraid to reach out and communicate with people. And I used to have a mentor years ago. He was up on the stage. There was 1,000 people in the room. There's a big whiteboard, and he wrote his cell phone number on the board. 1,000 people. It was the first time I'd seen it. And I said, oh my God, Patrick, these people are going to be calling you off. Why are you doing? That's crazy. And he said, Cami, nobody ever calls us. They all think we're too busy, or we're too successful, or they think they're not good enough to call us, or that they don't have anything of value to bring to the table. He said, we give our phone number out to tens of thousands of people a month, and less than 1% ever call us. Right. Reach out to people because they are more generous than you give them credit for.
I love it. Cami, thank you very much for being an outstanding guest. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, Ron.
Hey everyone, you've been listening to Success Secrets Revealed. That was Cami Baker from CamiBaker.com. She is absolutely amazing, and she is a rock star when it comes to resilience. No matter what your personal history is or experience is, it really comes down to how you see it and how you interpret it and what you do. Did it happen to you, or did it happen for you? Okay. And then she also can help you reach out, research, and relationship build so you can grow your business. And once you grow your business, she has tons of solutions to help you, create tax saving strategies that are 100% legal, available to you and everyone else. So it's not manipulation, it's not distortion, and it's not getting over. It's what the law is. You just gotta know what the law is. My name is Ronald Couming, and this is Success Secrets Revealed, sponsored by RCS Online Solutions, where we help business owners and entrepreneurs attract, convert, and retain their ideal customers and clients to achieve even greater success. Let's be real, and I said this at the beginning, and I'm going to say it all day, and I'm going to say it forever. You can have the best service, you can have the best product, you can have the best website, you can have the best copy. All that stuff means nothing if people can't find you when they are looking for the solution to their problem. No one is searching for you by your name or what you do. They're searching for the solution to their problem. And if your solution comes up in the mix, they'll find you, they'll consider you, and possibly hire you. And that's what we do. I hope you all have a great day.